The very next day, Mossad finally activated the walkie-talkies that had been dormant for 10 years. Some
crazy
going off at the funerals of those killed by the pagers. All in all, about 30 people died, including 2 children. Around 3,000 were injured.
But the aim there was to psychologically scare them. It wasn't really to get casualties as much as it was to let them feel as though, holy shit, you know, you're not safe. That was the purpose there, guys. You're not safe. We can touch you at any time. We could blow up your pages. We could blow up your walkie-talkies. We killed your leader. It was psychological warfare. And Israel needs to rely on tactics like this, guys, because like I said before, their ground military is not that good.
On September 17th, after Israel and the terrorists...
This shit is crazy, by the way, chat. And just so you guys know, they had the explosions in the pagers for 10 years, chat. 10 years they had them there. 10 years. And then they detonated them later on.
Organization Hezbollah...
This is why I say all the time that the Israelis have some of the best intelligence agencies. Oh, and then the last thing I want to tell you, guys, before we watch this thing, is so you got Aman, who's their military component, and then you got Shin Bet. This is their FBI, chat. This is their FBI. Right, so they're more concerned with stuff going on internally in Israel. So they're thwarting attacks internally, arresting people, etc. So these 3 agencies are the main components of their intelligence program in Israel. So you got Shin Bet, who's FBI. You got the Aman, who's the equivalent to RDIA, or Defense Intelligence Agency, right? Or maybe an NSA as well, combined. And then you got, obviously, Mossad, who's our equivalent of CIA.
Had been in an escalating war for nearly a year. The Israeli spy agency Mossad launched one of the most daring and sophisticated deceptions in the history of intelligence, the pager plot, a modern take on the Trojan horse. Mossad created a bomb in a pocket and tricked Hezbollah fighters into unwittingly wearing these devices on their bodies. The repercussions of the plot have been dramatic, including aiding in the fall of the Assad regime in Syria, the weakening of Iran, and the decimating of the target of the plot, Hezbollah. We spoke with 2 recently retired senior Mossad agents with leading roles in the operation. To hide their identities, we agreed they could wear a mask and have their voices altered. We started with Michael, not his real name.
The story will continue in a moment.
You were something called a case officer. What exactly is a case officer?
A case officer spearheads the operation. He's the commander of the operation.
The operation started 10 years.
This is very similar, guys, to like a case agent. When you're, you know, remember I will tell you guys, you're a criminal investigator, you have a case, you're running the case. Same exact thing, but on their side, the intel world. And also, very important that I need to put this out for you guys. Intelligence and law enforcement are 2 different worlds, okay? In intelligence, you're collecting information that you can utilize and keep those secrets for the benefit of your nation, while the other nation does not know that you have access to this information so that you can use it against them later. Just like with the pagers, they had these pagers for 10 years. They didn't know that they had bombs in them. So the Mossad were able to, you know, operate them and blow them up when they needed. Law enforcement, your job is to put these guys in jail and then put them in front of a judge and prosecute them. Intelligence and law enforcement, sometimes they have an aligned goal, but 9 out of 10 times, 2 different worlds completely. Another thing that's also important for you guys to understand when it comes to intelligence versus law enforcement typically has to operate within the confinements of the law. Intelligence doesn't. They do a lot of things off the record, right? This is why, like the CIA, for example, to fund their black programs, they would sell drugs and be involved in the narcotics trade because they didn't want that stuff on the books of how they would conduct some of these operations.
Years ago. Not
Same exact thing with the Mossad.
with pagers, but with weaponizing walkie-talkies.
A walkie-talkie was a weapon, just like a bullet or a missile or a mortar.
So a walkie-talkie bomb.
A walkie-talkie bomb. Inside the battery, there is an explosive device.
And that was the invention, to put an explosive device that couldn't be detected into the battery.
Correct. Made in Israel.
At Mossad?
Yes.
As I understand it, these walkie-talkies went into a tactical vest that a soldier would put on, and then this would go in the pocket.
Correct.
Near the heart.
Yes.
So Israel sold this device to Hezbollah. Hezbollah paid for this weapon that was to be used against them.
They got a good price.
A good price.
They got a good price, bro. These niggas are crazy, bro. And you guys know me. Look, I'm very critical of Israel, but I've always given them credit when it comes to their intelligence agencies. They're very good. Very, very good.
Couldn't be too low, or they'd be
price.
suspicious. In the end, Hezbollah bought over 16,000 of these exploding walkie-talkies that Israel then didn't activate for 10 years until 3 months ago. How did you convince Hezbollah to buy this?
Well, obviously, they didn't know that they were buying it from Israel.
Who did they buy it from? Or think they were buying it from?
We have an incredible array of possibilities of creating foreign companies that have no way being traced back to Israel, shell companies over shell companies who affect the supply chain to our favor. We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. The world is our stage.
This is...
Bro, they admit it. They admit it, but then if I say something, they're like, ah, nah, bro, that's anti-Semitic. But these niggas can admit it, bro. Come on, man. It's fucked.
Mossad's old office. Its motto from Proverbs 24:6 says in so many words, wage war through deception and trickery, kind of like the CIA's smoke and mirrors, which is what this operation was all about, starting with those walkie-talkies. But walkie-talkies are only worn in battle. So Mossad began developing a new device that Hezbollah fighters would have in their pockets all the time, a pager.
A pager is almost obsolete around the world, but Hezbollah still using it.
Craig McCree, thanks for the $1.
This is Gabriel, not his real name or voice. In 2022, he and his team started developing the second phase of the operation, the booby-trapped pagers. He found out that Hezbollah was buying pagers from this company in Taiwan called Gold Apollo. This is the pager that Hezbollah was...
Now, you guys might be saying, like, yo, Myron, why the fuck are they using pagers? Like, bro, it's 2025. What's wrong with these guys? The reason why the Hezbollah was using pagers, guys, is because they felt safer with using older equipment so it wouldn't be tapped by intelligence agencies. So it's harder to collect information on pagers and walkie-talkies than like on cell phones. So that's why they were using a bit more primitive technology, communication technology, than what was available, was because they felt like it was safer and harder to trace.
Was using. So
that's why they had to put bombs in them versus being able to intercept them.
It's very sleek, it's very shiny, and it certainly can fit in a pocket. So what did you do to change this, to make it into a bomb?
So to make it into a bomb, we have to enlarge it a little bit.
In order to put explosives inside, but
yeah, see the size compared?
Not too much. Using dummies, Mossad conducted tests with the pager in a padded glove to calibrate the grams of explosive needed to be just enough to hurt the fighter, but not the person next to him.
If we push the button, the only one that will get injured is the terrorist himself. Even if his wife or his daughter will be just next to him, he's the only one that's going to be harmed.
Did you test for that?
Yes, we test everything triple, double, multiple times in order to make sure there's minimum damage.
Could you use it as a tracking device? Did it have intelligence capability?
Oh no, this is a very stupid device by nature. This is the reason they're using it. There's almost no way how to tap it. It's only receiving messages and several grams of explosive.
Mossad also tested these ringtones to find a sound urgent enough to compel someone to take it out of their pocket. And they tested how long it takes...
Down to how the detail, the attention to detail, guys, down to the goddamn part where they're like, oh yeah, let's make sure that it's like a ringtone that they're gonna definitely want to answer, you know? Absolutely nuts.
Takes a person to answer a pager, on average, 7 seconds. But how to convince Hezbollah to switch to this bulkier pager?
I remember the day that I came to our director, put it on the table, and he was furious. He was telling us, there is no chance that anyone will buy such a big device.
Now, keep in mind, the director of Mossad only answers to the prime minister. So this guy, right, that's a case officer for the Mossad, he's reporting directly to his director, and then that director talks to Benjamin Netanyahu. So why is this important? Basically, they've got no oversight, chat. Very little oversight. Right? Obviously because of the sensitive nature of what they're doing. But that's wild.
It's not comfortable in their pockets. It's heavy.
Very heavy.
Very heavy. It's no good.
Yeah.
Go back and bring me something else. It took me 2 weeks to convince him that although it's ugly, it has character.
Character meaning added features, which they touted in fake ads on YouTube. Robust, dustproof, waterproof, long battery life.
We make advertising movies and brochures, and we put it on the internet, and it became the best product in the people area in the world.
Did people other than Hezbollah want to buy this based on what was being said about it online?
Yes, we received several requests from regular potential customers. Obviously, we didn't send to anyone.
So guys, they also made commercials. That's fucking nuts, man. They literally made commercials to sell this thing even more, right? And this is why a lot of the times I'm so like critical of Israel when they just do like indiscriminate bombings, because I know what they're capable of. Like they do shit like this, but then they're still bombing Gaza and killing kids. Like think about that. They figure out that they're buying it from this company. They intercept the beepers, put bombs in them, sell them to Hezbollah at a good price, and then they run commercials. Holy crap.
We just quote them with expensive price.
Mossad wanted to use the name Gold Apollo on its pager, so it set up shell companies, including one in this building in Hungary, to dupe the Taiwanese into partnering with them. So the company in Taiwan, Gold Apollo, did they know that they were working with people from Mossad?
Gold Apollo had zero clue that they are working with the Mossad.
And neither did Hezbollah.
When they are buying from us, they have zero clue that they are buying from the Mossad. We make like Truman Show. Everything is controlled by us behind the scene. In their experience, everything is normal. Everything was 100% kosher, including businessmen, marketing, engineers, showroom, everything.
To further the plot, Mossad hired the Gold Apollo saleswoman Hezbollah was used to working with before.
She offered them the first batch of pagers as an upgrade free of charge. By September 2024, Hezbollah had 5,000 pagers in their pockets. The question for Israel, when to activate the sleeping bombs. There were hints Hezbollah might be getting suspicious of the devices, so Mossad head Dadi Barnea gave the go-ahead, triggering the attack and shocking people around the world as it seemed more like a spy movie than reality. On September 17th at 3:30 p.m., pagers started beeping all over Lebanon.
Bruh. Like, and remember, guys, this was in the middle of them having the war, right? So psychological warfare is important. Imagine you're like communicating with your counterparts saying, yo, we got to get these Israelis, they're invading in southern Lebanon, we're going to go after them, right? And then you hear, you get your fucking beeper message like, deet, 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 you know what I mean? And you're like, oh, okay, let's see what happens. And then, boom, gone. That's crazy. Anybody that's a part of the Hezbollah is going to look at that like, what the fuck, right? That's psychological warfare. That takes the morale down. That scares people, right? You know, literally, let's say you're a Hezbollah fighter and, you know, your buddy blows up right in front of you. Like, you're just like, you're not going to have the same level of morale as you did before. So this was obviously very important. And then they also, at the same time, killed their leader, Hassan Nassrallah. So your leader gets blown up in an airstrike, and then a couple of your buddies get blown to smithereens with these pagers. Bro, they were terrified.
As I understand it, people with this pager got a message that said, you have an encrypted message. In order to access it, you have to push the 2 buttons, meaning that it would explode in their hands.
That was the whole point.
So if someone did not push the 2 buttons, what happened?
It's the same effect. It's going to explode anyway.
The explosive was triggered in Israel.
Yes.
What ensued was mayhem. People with pagers blowing up on the street, on motorcycles, hospitals filling up with the wounded, limbs, fingers torn off, bloodied, blinded, holes in stomachs. For the most part, the explosions worked as planned, they say. Watch the man on the left. Those right next to him were unscathed.
Here, see that again.
For the most part, the explosions worked as planned, they say. Watch the man on the left.
Okay, this guy right here. Boom. You can see it blow up on his right side here. This nigga ran. He was like, what the hell?
Those right next to him were unscathed. The very next day, Mossad finally activated the walkie-talkies that had been dormant for 10 years. Some
crazy
going off at the funerals of those killed by the pagers. All in all, about 30 people died, including 2 children. Around 3,000 were injured.
But the aim there was to psychologically scare them. It wasn't really to get casualties as much as it was to, like, let them feel as though, holy shit, you know, you're not safe. That was the purpose there, guys. You're not safe. We can touch you at any time. We could blow up your pages. We could blow up your walkie-talkies. We killed your leader. It was psychological warfare. And Israel needs to rely on tactics like this, guys, because like I said before, their ground military is not that good. And they're small. They don't have the capability of being able to invade a country and fight them off physically on the ground. So they have to utilize intelligence agencies and stuff like this to be able to conduct psychological warfare or assassination attempts to really target and get rid of some of the leaders of their enemies, right? So that's how they operate. So they spend a lot of money and a lot of resources on their intel agencies because their military doesn't have the same level of ground fighting capabilities as other nations.
It wasn't killing Hezbollah terrorist. If he just dead, so he's dead. But if you're wounded, you have to take him to the hospital, take care of him. You need to invest money in efforts. And those people without hands and eyes are living proof, walking in Lebanon, of don't mess with us. They are walking proof of our superiority all around the Middle East.
2 days after the pager attack, Hezbollah
Okay, there you go. This is Nasrallah.
leader Hassan Nassrallah, known for his fiery oratory, gave a subdued speech.
If you look at his eyes, he was defeated. He already lost the war. And his soldiers looked at him during that speech, and they saw a broken leader. And this was the tipping point of the war. I don't know if you know that Nasrallah, when we operate the beeper operation, just next to him in the bunker, several people at the beeper receiving the message. And in his own eyes, he saw them collapsing.
How do you know that?
It's a strong rumor.
In the ensuing days,
They also have informants that told them that. That's how they knew where Hassan Nassrallah was, so they can hit him with that airstrike. And they hit him with a crazy airstrike, chat. Matter of fact, we'll watch this video next.
In the ensuing days, the Israeli Air Force hit targets all across Lebanon, killing over 1,000, many of them. On September 27th, it dropped massive bombs on Nasrallah's bunker, assassinating him. 2 months later, after more Israeli strikes over Lebanon and more civilian deaths, the war between Israel and Hezbollah ended with a ceasefire. Did you completely destroy and crush Hezbollah?
I think it's a big question. And I think
They didn't completely destroy them. They took out their leadership and they demoralized them. But Hezbollah still is a huge military force and absolutely capable.
honest answer would be no. But I think after this tipping point of the Beeper
Okay, even he knows.
operation and the walkie-talkie and then IDF attack put Hezbollah in a very, very difficult situation. No chain of command, no spirit in their soldiers, asking, begging for a ceasefire.
So you restore your sense of superiority. But what about your moral reputation? Don't you think Israel has to worry about its reputation?
Definitely, but there is a prioritization. First, you have to defend your people not being killed by the thousands. And then, the reputation.
The pagers have had a profound rippling effect, severely weakening Iran by leaving its proxy empire in ruins, with Hezbollah shattered in Lebanon, Assad toppled in Syria. We asked Agent Michael about the effect on Gaza.
How does that affect the situation with Hamas?
The wind was taken out of Hezbollah's fight after the pager operation, and I'm hoping that it will have an effect also on the Hamas.
And it created a domino effect because a bunch of other countries were toppled right after, right? So Hezbollah gets toppled, and that weakens Iran, because Iran, right, is the leader of the axis of resistance. They're the leader of the axis of resistance, and Hezbollah in Lebanon is a very important component to the axis of resistance. So destabilizing Lebanon actually weakens Iran significantly, and Iran is the chief op of Israel.
It's an hostage situation because they're looking at their sides and they're seeing no one next to them. They're completely isolated now.
In terms of the kind of
Yeah, Sneeko was in Lebanon a week before it was bombed, yeah.
warfare that was conducted with the walkie-talkies and the
Oh,
pagers,
shit. Sorry, John.
would you call it a psychological war?
The day after the pagers exploded, people were afraid to turn on the air conditioners in Lebanon because they were afraid that they would explode.
That's crazy. Scared of turning on the air conditioners, bro.
So there
Niggas rather melt.
is real fear.
Was that an intention?
We want them to feel vulnerable, which they are. We can't use the pagers again because we already did that. We've already moved on to the next thing. And they'll have to keep on trying to guess what the next thing is.